Hello, my name is Justin Haas, and this will be the one of nine. This will be my first blog post for Immanuel Whitaker for education reform in the 21st century, um, ED 455. I want to begin by first discussing the advantages and disadvantages of having a year-round education, and what do we see from studies showed. The fact of the matter is that studies have shown that there's no real benefit for year-round education more than traditional schooling where you have 3 months off in the summer. However, I have yet to see where it's been displayed in which I can really call it a year-round education, whether it's 3 weeks off or um, uh, 3 weeks off, 3 weeks off versus a whole summer block. Still the retention rates of students are really lacking, and they've shown no improvements on test scores, on attendance levels, on student participation in the classroom. All of these things are not being affected by something that you would think that if students were in school the whole year, that they could really benefit from. One When you first take a glance at year-round education, it solves a lot of problems. That you can have remediation periods in the time that you have off, so it can constantly build on students' improvement and build on students' weaknesses, so that when they get back into school after those 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that they're more solid in those subject areas. And the opposite and the negative of having a 3 month summer gap is having that such a long time span where if you have 3 weeks, less is lost. Um, However, I don't know that, and so one of the best parts about class was trying to decipher and understand a research topic in which to display how retention rates what the cognitive ability about retention rates are, whether it affects elementary, middle school, or high school kids in different ways, and it obviously does because high school kids can retain much more and for longer. But at what point does it become obsolete? Does all the information lost over 9 weeks, for instance, if you were going to go to school for 9 weeks and get off for 3, does all that 9-week course content be lost in the first week? Is it the first 2 weeks? And if so, going off this data, you could figure out what a year-round school that would actually benefit kids could look like. And I thought that one of the biggest faults that these have is that they're actually less school days from these year-round, the definition of these year-round schools. And the fact of the matter is that when you hear year-round schools, you'd think it's inherent that you'd actually be going to school for longer. And I think it's really important, since we are so globally behind, since we're even just districtly behind, statewide behind. We're so far below where we need to be, and the system is so backwards that we're not heading in the right direction. And you would think that having a year-round education would eliminate some of the two biggest problems, both retention rate over the summer, where there's loss of content, as well as meaning using the time, the first, I would say, quarter of the time actually learning things as opposed to reviewing them, which you do probably in every grade after you come back over the summer. So it's really important that the inherent ideas are counteracted, and the fact of the matter is, I was kind of amazed to find that there was no physical difference and no real significant difference between year-round education and traditional education. Like we've been trying to figure out in this course, what do we actually want to reform and how do we do that? And so obviously we've come up with some ideas of teacher salary and teacher qualifications, but I hate to only stop there, and I really want to keep adding things and adding things and adding things, because there's so many things backward. Yet every time we come up to things like year-round education and it's not implemented correctly, or it's not economically feasible, you run into more and more problems of, well, the benefit of the education system is because it's there. That's the biggest benefit for the education system, for our students, for our teachers, for our faculty. There really is no other benefit besides that it's actually in place, and that changing it would cost so much, or changing it would be so drastic. When the fact of the matter is that it could really benefit the United States, it could really benefit Colorado, and in terms of what our goal of education is by reforming students' perception of education, making them become educated citizens, is way more important than learning how to test. So I was kind of shocked when I figured out that year-round education is no longer a viable source, since studies have shown that over 25 years no real meaningful significance is found. Thank you.